It's often known that children have lovely spirits. As they get older, most individuals want these little joys in their homes. As most parents know, raising a child is more than smiles and laughing. It takes determination, a sharp mind, and a lot of patience to help kids become their best selves as adults. Kenzie and Michael's parenting skills would be tested. After meeting at a rock concert in their mid-20s, Kenzie and Michael married 5 years later. Their differences and strengths made them a great team. Josh, their first child, was born in their second year of marriage. Kerry, their second son, would exhaust them. Kerry was Josh's opposite, despite Kenzie and Michael's denial. Kerry, unlike Josh, cried all night. That wasn't all. First words and walking are milestones for families. Kenzie filmed everything for Josh. But not Kerry. The angel was content to lie on his back months after he should have been walking. As the weeks passed, Kenzie and Michael knew Kerry needed to see a pediatrician. The parents dressed Kerry and called a sitter for Josh. After running through the day's logistics with the sitter, they got ready to set out for the doctors. Something would change their minds immediately. Kenzie was showering when her husband called her. She ran, barely covered by her towel. Michael was in the corridor, and Kerry was standing on his feet and cooing at his brother in the other room. His next move left the parents baffled for months. Kerry smiled at Kenzie and Michael and breezed into Josh's room. His parents watched in disbelief. If you like my videos, don't forget to like or subscribe. Thanks in advance. They cancelled their pediatrician appointment. However, a roadside event would send them to the hospital. Kerry could walk in Kenzie's family's next weeks. The boy didn't even use furniture like his big brother did. But one day, he did something that put his parents on high alert and put their family in the hospital. It happened on a sunny summer afternoon. When Josh called, Kenzie and Michael were enjoying the sun. "I got this," Michael waved Kenzie down when she rose. He smiled back and assured her he could handle their boys. He was unaware. Kerry was 2 months old and Josh was 10. He hadn't spoken yet, which worried his parents. They considered scheduling an appointment with his doctor but decided to wait. They went to the pediatrician without an appointment that afternoon. Michael ran to see why Josh called. Kenzie rested, trusting her husband to resolve Josh's issue. She drank her margarita while wearing sunglasses. She rose when Michael screamed. Kenzie ran inside after Michael's scream. She didn't know what was wrong, but her husband's reaction indicated a major issue. Is her child hurt? Both bleeding? She ran up the patio steps and into the house, her mind racing. Her discovery would shake her. Kenzie found Michael beside Josh. They were looking over Kerry, who sat in a pile of Kenzie's college textbooks. "Who's hurt?" Kerry asked frantically, checking Josh all over before rushing to Kerry. "No one," Michael grinned with wide eyes and furrowed brows. He kneeled and asked Kerry, "Can you show mommy what you just showed me, bud?" "Okay, Dad," the boy said, opening Kenzie's mouth. Michael shrugged and turned to Kerry. "Show her." Kerry struggled to open a thick book. He read the first sentence, pronouncing words Kenzie had trouble saying. He continued. Kerry read the book's first 10 sentences, straining. He then detailed what they meant and pointed to another book, saying its title related to what he'd just read. Kenzie and Michael were shocked. They grabbed their coats and sons and ran to the hospital. They needed Kerry's status. Kerry's doctor tested the boy before revealing what his parents thought as they drove to the hospital. A genius was likely. Although the doctor couldn't be sure yet, as Kerry was still very young, he told Kenzie and Michael that the boy was already showing signs of being a child protege. Driving home, the parents breathed deeply. Their lives were changed forever. After dreaming of a big family, Brian was the first. He started that dream. They could never have imagined a more perfect son. They had to consider the worst. The days passed by mercilessly and Brian remained in the same state. Taylor never knew that a human being was capable of holding as many tears as she cried. She alternated between hope and despair daily. After hours and days, a worse emotion took over. Taylor cried uncontrollably. She felt insane several times. She became numb, possibly as a defense. After all the heartache, stress, and fear, this felt worse. Taylor felt monstrous when numb. She went through the hours like a cold, unfeeling robot. She sometimes felt like a zombie, dead to the world and just waiting for news. She wanted to snap out of it but was afraid. Taylor was afraid that if she let the dark emotions return, she would be overwhelmed again. In her desperation, she sought comfort from another source. Jeff was grieving differently. Taylor rarely saw him cry and he seemed to be doing better. Taylor was undecided. She wondered what Jeff was thinking. Worse, she had no idea how she felt about him or if she could rely on him. The situation was awful. Taylor and Jeff were normal, happy. They finally started a life together. Their dreams crumbled. Their grief was crippling. Though she denied it, Taylor was angry. She hated seeing Jeff sometimes. Taylor had heard about the famous grief stages. She wasn't sure. She never thought about it because she never imagined herself in this kind of grief. She sometimes admired Jeff's handling of things. She wondered if he was holding out. Taylor knew Jeff loved his son just as much. Like her, he was heartbroken inside. Taylor worried for another reason as Jeff's stoicism continued. She hadn't considered the feeling before but now feared it was true. She worried Jeff would blame her because Brian was in Taylor's care. She battled this feeling. She summoned her last courage to find out. She tentatively asked him if it was true. Jeff comforted Taylor by saying he didn't blame her. He knew she loved their son and would never intentionally hurt him. He encouraged her to stick together. Seeing their son daily hooked up to devices and a breathing apparatus broke them. Finally, the doctor announced the test results. Brain trauma left Brian's future uncertain. The hospital released Brian after helping Taylor and Jeff adjust to his treatment. They included a new diet, physical therapy, and mind-stimulating activities. The couple tried everything, but it was too late. Taylor, Jeff, and their families tried everything to save their son, but he died. Taylor had a plan. Taylor found ways to cope and accept what happened between episodes of feeling insane. She found some solace in helping others. Taylor shared her story after losing her son. She hoped that more parents would realize how quickly inattention could lead to tragedy. If their experience could save another family from the same horror, Brian's short life would have been worthwhile. Social media brought many people to mourn with her family. Though she misses Brian every day, the pain of losing him will fade. Taylor and Jeff had more children and could have the big family they always wanted. It was always tainted. They couldn't forget their first child. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again in the next video.